You've worked so hard today. The day just flew by, didn't it? Now take a moment to pause and let everything go. Tonight, we'll read Judges chapters 6 through 10 together. Listen slowly, comfortably. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Because the power of Midian was so oppressive, the Israelites prepared shelters for themselves in mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza, and did not leave a sheep, an ox, or a donkey for Israel to eat. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count them or their camels. They invaded the land to ravage it. Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. When the Israelites cried out to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says: I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and from the hand of all your oppressors. I drove them out before you and gave you their land. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you live. But you have not listened to me." The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord answered, "I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites together." Gideon replied, "If now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it is really you talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back to you and bring my offering and set it before you." And the Lord said, "I will wait until you return." Gideon went in and prepared a young goat, and from an ephah of flour he made bread without yeast. Putting the meat in a basket and its broth in a pot, he brought them out and offered them to him under the oak. The angel of God said to him, "Take the meat and the unleavened bread and place them on this rock, and pour out the broth." And Gideon did so. Then the angel of the Lord touched the meat and the unleavened bread with the tip of the staff that was in his hand. Fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and the bread, and the angel of the Lord disappeared. When Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord, he exclaimed, "Alas, sovereign Lord, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face." But the Lord said to him, "Peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die." So Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it "The Lord is Peace." To this day it stands in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. That same night the Lord said to him, "Take the second bull from your father's herd, the one 7 years old. Tear down your father's altar to Baal and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Then build a proper altar to the Lord your God on the top of this stronghold. Take the second bull and offer it as a burnt offering with the wood of the Asherah pole you cut down." So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord told him. But because he was afraid of his family and the townspeople, he did it at night rather than in the daytime. In the morning, when the people of the town got up, there was Baal's altar demolished, and the Asherah pole beside it cut down, and the second bull sacrificed on the newly built altar. They asked each other, "Who did this?" When they carefully investigated, they were told, "Gideon, son of Joash, did it." The people of the town said to Joash, "Bring out your son. He must die, because he has demolished Baal's altar and cut down the Asherah pole beside it." But Joash replied to the hostile crowd around him, "Are you going to plead Baal's cause? Are you trying to save him? Whoever fights for him shall be put to death by morning. If Baal really is a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar." So because Gideon demolished Baal's altar, they gave him the name Jerubbaal that day, saying, "Let Baal contend with him." All the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites to follow him. He sent messengers throughout Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also throughout Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, so that they too came up to meet them. Then Gideon said to God, "If you will save Israel by my hand as you have promised, look, I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said." And that is what happened. Gideon rose early the next morning. He squeezed the fleece and wrung out enough dew to fill a bowl with water. Then Gideon said to God, "Do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece, but this time let the fleece be dry and all the ground be covered with dew." That night God did so. Only the fleece was dry, all the ground was covered with dew. Jerubbaal, that is, Gideon and all his men rose early and camped at the spring of Harod. The Midianite camp was to their north in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men for me to deliver Midian into their hands. In order that Israel may not boast against me that her own strength has saved her, announce now to the people, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. But the Lord said to Gideon, "There are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you there. If I say, 'This one shall go with you,' he shall go. But if I say, 'This one shall not go with you,' he shall not go." So Gideon took the men down to the water. There the Lord told him, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues like a dog from those who kneel down to drink." 300 of them drank from cupped hands, lapping like dogs. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, "With the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home." So Gideon sent the rest of the Israelites home, but kept the 300, who took over the provisions and trumpets of the others. Now the camp of Midian was in the valley below Gideon. During that night the Lord said to Gideon, "Get up, go down against the camp, because I am going to give it into your hands. If you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah, and listen to what they are saying. Afterward, you will be encouraged to attack the camp." So he and Purah his servant went down to the outposts of the camp. The Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the other eastern peoples had settled in the valley, thick as locusts. Their camels could no more be counted than the sand on the seashore. Gideon arrived just as a man was telling his friend a dream. "I had a dream," he was saying. A round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed. His friend responded, "This can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon son of Joash, an Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands." When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed down in worship. He returned to the camp of Israel and called out, "Get up! The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." Dividing the 300 men into 3 companies, he placed trumpets and empty jars in the hands of all of them, with torches inside. "Watch me," he told them. "Follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp blow yours and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" Gideon and the 100 men with him reached the edge of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, just after they had changed the guards. Then they blew their trumpets and broke the jars that were in their hands. The 3 companies blew their trumpets and smashed their jars. Grasping the torches in their left hands and holding the trumpets in their right hands to blow them, they shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" While each man held his position around the camp, all the Midianites ran, crying out as they fled. When the 300 trumpets sounded, the Lord caused the men throughout the camp to turn on each other with their swords. The army fled to Beth-shittah toward Zererah as far as the border of Abel-Meholah near Tabbath. Israelites from Naphtali, Asher, and all Manasseh were called out, and they pursued the Midianites. Gideon sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down to attack the Midianites and seize the waters of the Jordan ahead of them as far as Beth-barah." So all the men of Ephraim were called out, and they seized the waters of the Jordan as far as Beth-barah. They also captured Oreb and Zeeb, the 2 Midianite princes. They killed Oreb at the rock of Oreb, and Zeeb at the winepress of Zeeb. They pursued the Midianites and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeeb to Gideon, who was by the Jordan. Now the Ephraimites asked Gideon, "Why have you treated us like this? Why didn't you call us when you went to fight Midian?" And they challenged him strenuously. Gideon replied, "What have I accomplished compared to you? Are not the gleanings of Ephraim's grapes better than the full harvest of Abiezer? God gave Oreb and Zeeb, the Midianite princes, into your hands. What was I able to do compared to you?" When he said this, their anger against him subsided. Gideon and his 300 men crossed the Jordan, exhausted yet still in pursuit. He said to the men of Sukkoth, "Give my troops some bread, they are worn out, and I am pursuing Zebah and Zalmunna, the Midianite kings." But the officials of Sukkoth said, "Do you already have Zebah and Zalmunna in your possession? Why should we give bread to your army?" Then Gideon said, "Just for that. When the Lord has given Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, I will tear your flesh with desert thorns and briars." From there he went up to Peniel and made the same request of them. But the people of Peniel answered as the men of Sukkoth had. So Gideon said to the men of Peniel, "When I return in triumph, I will tear down this tower." Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor with their army of about 15,000 men. All that were left of the armies of the eastern peoples, 120,000 swordsmen, had fallen. Gideon went up by the route of the nomads east of Nobah and Jogbehah and attacked the unsuspecting army. Zebah and Zalmunna fled, but he pursued them and captured the 2 Midianite kings, Zebah and Zalmunna, and routed their whole army. Gideon, son of Joash, then returned from the battle by the pass of Heres. He caught a young man of Sukkoth and questioned him, and the young man wrote down for him the names of the 77 officials of Sukkoth, their elders. Then Gideon came to the men of Sukkoth and said, "Here are Zebah and Zalmunna, about whom you taunted me. Do you already have Zebah and Zalmunna in your possession? Why should we give bread to your exhausted men?" He took the elders of the town and taught the men of Sukkoth a lesson by punishing them with desert thorns and briars. He also tore down the tower of Peniel and killed the men of the town. Then he asked Zebah and Zalmunna, "What kind of men were they whom you killed at Tabor?" "Like you," they answered. Each one had the appearance of a king's son. Gideon replied, "Those were my brothers, the sons of my own mother. As surely as the Lord lives, if you had spared their lives, I would not kill you." Turning to Jether, his oldest son, he said, "Kill them." But Jether did not draw his sword because he was only a boy and was afraid. Zebah and Zalmunna said, "Come, strike us yourself. As is the man, so is his strength." So Gideon stepped forward and killed Zebah and Zalmunna and took the ornaments of the camels' necks. The Israelites said to Gideon, "Rule over us you, your son and your grandson, because you have saved us from the hand of Midian." But Gideon told them, "I will not rule over you, nor will my son rule over you. The Lord will rule over you." And Gideon said to them, "I do have one request, that each of you give me an earring from your share of the plunder." It happened that the enemy had golden earrings because they were Ishmaelites. They answered, "We'll be glad to give them." So they spread out a garment, and each of them threw an earring from his plunder onto it. The weight of the gold earrings was 1,700 shekels, not including the ornaments. Pendants and purple garments worn by the kings of Midian, or the chains that were on their camels' necks. Gideon made the gold into an ephod, which he placed in Ophrah, his town. All Israel prostituted themselves by worshiping it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and his family. Thus Midian was subdued before the Israelites and did not raise its head again. During Gideon's lifetime, the land had peace 40 years, Jerubbaal, son of Joash, went home and remained there. He had 70 sons by his many wives. And his concubine in Shechem also had a son, whom he named Abimelech. Gideon, son of Joash, died at a good old age and was buried in the tomb of his father Joash in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. No sooner had Gideon died than the Israelites again prostituted themselves to the Baals. They made Baal-berith their god, and did not remember the Lord their God, who had rescued them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. They also failed to show kindness to the family of Jerubbaal, that is, Gideon, for all the good things he had done for Israel. Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal, went to his mother's brothers in Shechem and said to them and to all his mother's clan, "Ask all the citizens of Shechem, which is better for you to have all 70 of Jerubbaal's sons rule over you, or just one man? Remember, I am your flesh and blood." When the brothers repeated all this to the citizens of Shechem, their hearts were swayed to follow Abimelech, for they said, "He is our fellow Israelite." They gave him 70 shekels of silver from the temple of Baal-berith, and Abimelech hired some worthless and reckless men who followed him. He went to his father's home in Ophrah, and on one stone murdered his 70 brothers, the sons of Jerubbaal. But Jotham, Jerubbaal's youngest son, escaped by hiding. Then all the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo gathered beside the great tree at Shechem to crown Abimelech king. When Jotham was told about this, he climbed up on the top of Mount Gerizim and shouted to them, "Listen to me, citizens of Shechem, so that God may listen to you." One day the trees went out to anoint a king for themselves. They said to the olive tree, "Be our king." But the olive tree answered, "Should I give up my oil by which both gods and humans are honored to hold sway over the trees?" Next the trees said to the fig tree, "Come and be our king." But the fig tree replied, "Should I give up my fruit so good and sweet to hold sway over the trees?" Then the trees said to the grapevine, "Come and be our king." But the grapevine answered, "Should I give up my wine, which cheers both gods and humans, to hold sway over the trees?" Finally all the trees said to the thorn bush, "Come and be our king." The thorn bush said to the trees, "If you really want to anoint me king over you, come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, then let fire come out of the thorn bush and consume the cedars of Lebanon. Have you acted honorably and in good faith by making Abimelech king? Have you dealt well with Jerubbaal and his family? Have you treated him as he deserved? Remember that my father fought for you and risked his life to rescue you from the hand of Midian. But today you have revolted against my father's family, murdered his 70 sons on one stone, and made Abimelech, the son of his female servant, king over the citizens of Shechem, because he is your fellow Israelite. So if you have acted honorably and in good faith toward Jerubbaal and his family today, then may Abimelech be your joy, and may you in turn be his joy. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech and consume you, the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and let fire come out from you, the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and consume Abimelech." Then Jotham fled, escaping to Beer, where he lived in exile because of his brother Abimelech. After Abimelech had governed Israel for 3 years, God stirred up animosity between Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem, who acted treacherously against Abimelech. God did this in order that the crime against Jerubbaal's 70 sons, the shedding of their blood, might be avenged on their brother Abimelech and on the citizens of Shechem, who had helped him murder his brothers. The citizens of Shechem set ambushes for him on the mountaintops and robbed all who passed by on the road. And Abimelech was told about it. Now Gaal, son of Ebed, moved into Shechem with his relatives, and the citizens of Shechem put their confidence in him. After they had gone out into the fields and harvested their grapes and trodden them, they held a festival in the temple of their God. While they were eating and drinking, they cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal, son of Ebed, said, "Who is Abimelech, and why should we Shechemites be subject to him? Isn't he Jerubbaal's son, and isn't Zebul his deputy? Serve the men of Hamor, Shechem's father. Why should we serve Abimelech? If only this people were under my command. Then I would get rid of Abimelech. I would say to Abimelech, 'Call out your whole army.'" When Zebul, the governor of the city, heard what Gaal, son of Ebed, said, he was very angry. He secretly sent messengers to Abimelech, saying, "Gaal, son of Ebed, and his relatives have come to Shechem and are stirring up the city against you. Now then, act at night with your men and ambush the fields. In the morning, at sunrise, advance against the city. When Gaal and his men come out against you, do to them whatever your hand finds to do." So Abimelech and all his troops set out at night and ambushed Shechem in 4 companies. When Gaal, son of Ebed, went out and stood in the entrance of the city gate, Abimelech and his troops rose from ambush. Gaal saw the troops and said to Zebul, "Look, troops are coming down from the tops of the mountains." But Zebul replied, "You're seeing the shadows of the mountains as if they were men." But Gaal spoke again, "Look, troops are coming down from the center of the land, and a company is coming by way of the diviner's oak." Then Zebul said to him, "Where is your boasting now? You who said, 'Who is Abimelech that we should be subject to him?' Aren't these the men you ridiculed? Go out and fight them." So Gaal led out the citizens of Shechem and fought Abimelech. But Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him. Many fell wounded all the way to the entrance of the city gate. Abimelech stayed in Arumah, and Zebul drove Gaal and his relatives out of Shechem. The next day, the people of Shechem went out to the fields, and Abimelech was told about it. So he took his men, divided them into 3 companies, and set an ambush in the fields. When he saw the people coming out of the city, he rose to attack them. Abimelech and the companies with him rushed forward and took up positions at the entrance of the city gate. Then the other 2 companies rushed upon all who were in the fields and struck them down. All that day Abimelech fought the city. He captured it, killed its people, and demolished the city, sowing salt in it. On hearing this, the citizens in the tower of Shechem went into the stronghold of the temple of El-Berith. When Abimelech heard that all the citizens in the tower of Shechem had assembled there, he and all his troops went up Mount Zalmon. He took an axe and cut off some branches, which he loaded on his shoulders. He ordered the men with him, "Quick, see what I have just done? Do the same." So all the men cut off branches and followed Abimelech. They piled them against the stronghold and set it on fire with the people inside. So all the people in the tower of Shechem died, about 1,000 men and women. Next, Abimelech went to Thebez and camped against it and captured it. But there was a strong tower inside the city, and all the men and women, all the people of the city fled to it. They locked themselves in and climbed up on the roof. Abimelech went to the tower and attacked it. He went near the entrance of the tower to set it on fire. But a certain woman dropped an upper millstone on his head and cracked his skull. Dismayed, he quickly called to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and kill me so that people can't say, 'A woman killed him.'" So his young man thrust him through, and he died. When the Israelites saw that Abimelech was dead, they all went home. Thus God repaid Abimelech for the evil he had done to his father in murdering his 70 brothers. God also made the men of Shechem pay for all their wickedness. The curse of Jotham son of Jerubbaal came on them. After the time of Abimelech, a man of Issachar named Tola son of Puah, the son of Dodo, rose to save Israel. He lived in Shamir, in the hill country of Ephraim. He judged Israel 23 years, then he died and was buried in Shamir. After him, Jair the Gileadite arose and judged Israel 22 years. He had 30 sons, who rode on 30 donkeys and who owned 30 towns in Gilead, which are called Havoth Jair to this day. When Jair died, he was buried in Kaman. Again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They served the Baals and the Ashtoreths, and the gods of Aram, Sidon, Moab, Ammon, and Philistia. And because they forsook the Lord and served not him, the Lord became angry with them and sold them into the hands of the Philistines and the Ammonites. For 18 years they oppressed all the Israelites on the east side of the Jordan in Gilead, the land of the Amorites. The Ammonites also crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim, so Israel was in great distress. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord, "We have sinned against you, for we have forsaken our God and have served the Baals." The Lord replied, "When the Egyptians, the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Philistines, the Sidonians, the Amalekites, and the Maonites oppressed you, and you cried to me for help, did I not save you from their hands? But you have forsaken me and served other gods, so I will no longer save you. Go and cry out to the gods you have chosen. Let them save you when you are in trouble." But the Israelites said to the Lord, "We have sinned. Do with us whatever you think best, but please rescue us today." Then they got rid of the foreign gods among them and served the Lord. And he could bear Israel's misery no longer. When the Ammonites called out their forces and camped in Gilead, the Israelites assembled and camped at Mizpah. The Israelite leaders and all the people of Gilead asked each other, "Who is the man who will begin the battle against the Ammonites? He will be head over all who live in Gilead." Tonight we read Judges chapters 6 through 10 together. Gideon's story that began with a dream of a barley loaf, the miraculous victory with 300 men, and the tragedy of Abimelech. God chooses us when we're fearful and weak to accomplish great things. The Lord is with you. With this promise, we too can become mighty warriors. You've done so well today. Rest peacefully now. Sleep well, sweet dreams.
After the long roads and the dust of many years, you gave us rest just as you promised long ago. Every word you spoke stood faithful and true. Not a single hope was lost along the way.
You placed our feet in land prepared by grace, and reminded us whose hand had carried us. Stones of memory whispered what you had done, so we would never forget your love. Choose this day whom you will serve. Remember the Lord who never failed. From generation to generation, your love remains the same.
When voices of other gods call softly near, you ask our hearts to turn again to you. Not by force, but by faithful love. You invite us to stand in truth.
You have always gone before us through wilderness and waiting years. Your mercy followed every step. Your kindness stayed when fear appeared.
As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, not because we must, but because we are loved.
Choose this day and hold to praise the God who keeps his promises, forever near, forever true, the Lord who always loves you. The Lord who always loves you.
We've seen the valleys and the victory. Watch your hand shape every turn. Through the years you never left us. Still our hearts have much to learn. You spoke again with gentle strength, calling us to choose your way. Not just in triumph or in peace, but in every ordinary day. You are faithful until the end. Your love does not grow weak with time. From first breath to final song, your promise stands. Your heart is kind. We remember all the battles won, not by swords but by your truth. Every blessing quietly given, every mercy made brand new. You ask our hearts to answer you, not with fear but with trust, because love has always been the reason that you walk with us. Even when our voices fail, faithful until the end. No shadow turns your loving face. Forever God, forever near, we rest inside your grace. After the long roads and the dust of many years, you gave us rest, just as you promised long ago. Every word you spoke stood faithful and true. Not a single hope was lost along the way. You placed our feet in land prepared by grace, and reminded us whose hand had carried us. Stones of memory whispered what you had done, so we would never forget your love. Choose this day whom you will serve. Remember the Lord who never failed. From generation to generation, your love remains the same. When voices of other gods call softly near, you ask our hearts to turn again to you. Not by force, but by faithful love, you invite us to stand in truth. You have always gone before us, through wilderness and waiting years. Your mercy followed every step. Your kindness stayed when fear appeared. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, not because we must, but because we are loved. Choose this day and hold to grace the God who keeps his promises. Forever near, forever true, the Lord who always loves you. We've seen the valleys and the victories. Watch your hand shape every turn. Through the years you never left hearts have much to learn.
You spoke again with gentle strength, calling us to choose your way, not just in triumph or in peace, but in every ordinary day.
You are faithful until the end. Your love does not grow weak with time. From first breath to final song, your promise stands. Your heart is kind. We remember all the battles won, not by swords but by your truth. Every blessing quietly given, every mercy made brand new.
You ask our hearts to answer you, not with fear but with trust, because love has always been the reason that you walk with us, even when our voices fail. Your covenant still holds us close. You are faithful until the end. No shadow turns your loving face. Forever God, forever near. We rest inside your grace. You are faithful until the end. No shadow turns your loving face. Forever God, forever near. We rest inside your grace.